everyone, welcome to the first video in our Princeton Business Challenge Entrepreneurial Thinking course. Today we're going to be going over probably the most fundamental step in order to create a strong proposition or solution to solve a problem that a business is facing. And that's framing the problem and crafting a strong value proposition. So let's get right into it. Let's start off with problem diagnosis. Even though you're solving the problem, you're going to need to ask a lot of questions yourself. And here are a few you should definitely think of and brainstorm. It really helps to write these things down. So if you think that'll help you, definitely go for it. If not, definitely make sure that you go through and think of them. Ask yourself, what is the business really struggling with? And the reason why we have really italicized and emphasized here is because you're going to be presented with a problem in a brief if you're competing in Princeton Business Challenge, but that doesn't tell you the root cause. You might just be presented with the symptoms of the issue. The distinction here is that symptoms are what's going wrong. For example, a loss of revenue or a decrease in customers or sales. But a root cause is why something is going wrong. For example, a lack of widespread marketing, inclusive marketing strategies that target different age groups, for example. And to find the root cause, you're going to ask yourself, why is this happening? And what issue keeps showing up? Finding these consistent themes is going to help you create a solution that really attacks the pervasive problems limiting the business's growth and success, which is why the last question you should ask yourself is what's limiting their growth? So you can create a strategy that targets that. You're going to need to frame the problem based on your answers to these questions. And that's going to include the core challenge, what the causes are, who is being affected, and what success looks like. Success is obviously very subjective, so you're going to need to create a standard for success for the business using the metrics you've seen from the business in the past, their past milestones, and this problem that they're trying to solve. So simply saying that we want to get over this problem is not sufficient. You need to provide actionable steps, marks and measures of progress so that we know that your system and plan is actually going to work. And that's why your format for your solution should probably be how might we solve or achieve this given goal while overcoming this obstacle. And this helps you because it's going to make sure that your problem solution is clear, focused, and solvable, which are the most important things. What goes hand in hand in this is a value proposition. This might not be something that you've heard before, and you might have heard of it before too. It's very common in business, but it's actually a lot simpler than it sounds. It's just a short, clear statement that answers the question, why should they choose your solution? So once you do the work framing this problem and starting to think of a solution, you need to think about why your solution is better than all of your competitors who are going to be brainstorming a solution to the same problem. And they'll likely have ideas that may be similar to you or different, but you definitely need to establish why the judges should prioritize your solution. So you need to really be able to show off the benefit you're offering, who it helps, and why is it different. And the format that we can recommend to you all is for the target user who has the given challenge. Our solution does this, which other solutions don't do it. That's where you offer the unique value. For example, for busy cafe owners who struggle with staffing, our solution automates scheduling and reduces burnout. Unlike generic HR tools, we're built for small food businesses. Do you see how this solution really targets who is struggling and why their solution is different from other tools? They specifically point out that other solutions are generic, which means that they lack specificity that you're going to provide to the table. The advantages of having a value proposition is that it solves a real problem, speaks to what the business truly cares about, uses simple and specific language. There's no reason to use any flowery or technical or overcomplicated language because at the end of the day, the way you persuade us is by creating a very simple and straightforward plan that's comprehensive. We should be able to understand it based on the facts and the layout that you put out. And also, it explains what makes your idea better or different. And some parting tips before we end this short first presentation. Frame the problem with a purpose. So don't just go in and say you're going to do what everyone else has done in order to solve that problem in the past. Say why you're using those precedents, for example, or why you're providing these solutions to the problem. And make sure that your solution is very realistic. You may be able to think of a very creative solution that could solve this problem in an instant with a snap of a finger. But if a business were truly to incorporate your solution, they would need it to be realistic, which means maybe not too expensive given their revenue, not to like it doesn't involve any crazy leaps from their existing business model. Make sure that it's something that can coexist with their business model or can blend in and adapt to their culture in order to make sure that the business would actually want to implement that. That's why we say this definitely needs to be backed up with logic, not just creativity. And the one other reason why your value proposition should be simple is that it needs to be easy to remember. After your 10-minute pitch, there's only one thing or that should be at the top of the judge's brain, and that's the value proposition. Give like all the facts you provide will definitely support in order to make sure that your solution is up there in the running and really considered for businesses to implement, but the value proposition is what sets it apart from the hundreds of competitors that you're going against. Good luck and make sure to watch the next video for more strategies to build on this. Bye.